Greetings folks, Twin Proper here, bringing you yet another in my series. And this is another one of those handguns, folks, that I've been looking at for years and always wanting it, yet just never finding the time or the opportunity to actually pick it up. Well, this time I did. Without further ado, folks, ladies and gentlemen, the Grand Power P1D. So here it is, the Grand Power P1D, and the D stands for decocker. There's an interesting thing about this decocker, the trigger, and the modes that you can carry this handgun in, and we'll get to those in just a minute. But this is the decocker model. Now, when I say I wanted this handgun for a long time, I really mean it. It's been years that I've wanted this handgun, but I've never quite pulled the trigger to get it because the first time I saw this, it was modeled as the STI GP6, and it was more of a full-size handgun. So setting it back down inside the foam, you can see that there's some extra room here. The GP6 would have just filled up this extra space. But it was the same thing basically as this. And when I saw this modeled as the GP6, the cost at the gun store that I was looking at was a little over $800. Yeah, not kidding. It had a slightly different finish, but basically it was the same gun, and I just was not prepared to spend $800 on a gun that I hadn't heard that much about. I hadn't heard too much about the Grand Powers, just a little bit. I hadn't heard enough to actually lure me in to buy it. So, and especially paying over $800, negative. But this is now about $450. Man, if you get it in the right place, you can get it anywhere from $430, I've seen it, to right up around $486. So this is a premium handgun too. But let's look at what's in the box. Now, looking at what's in the box, as you can see, customization seems to be about the demand of the millennia here. You've got 4 interchangeable back straps with this handgun. Outstanding, folks. 4 interchangeable back straps. And that helps because not everybody has the same size hand. And I opted for the back strap that has the slightly more pronounced hump, which was larger. And there's another one that's pretty much straight back. As you can see, I'm not sure how well you're seeing this. It's got more of a straight hump in the back, not as pronounced. And this one's smaller. This is the small one, and I believe this came with the small one. And the extended beaver tail model right here, so in case you want even bigger, but it's still not as pronounced a hump. There's that kind of customization with this handgun, which is outstanding. And again, pretty much expected of handgun companies these days. A lot of companies are doing that. You've got the Jonic TP9 series with its interchangeable back straps. Smith & Wesson M&P, they've been doing that for a long time. So pretty much it's caught on. This is what people want. Now, it's come with 2 magazines, and I am pretty sure that these are Mekgar magazines because they just look exactly like Mekgar magazines, the same kind of finish. I believe they are made in Italy. So pretty much Mekgar magazines coming with it, and they are very good magazines. But also with this handgun comes extra sights. So if you want to change out your sights, there's a couple extra sights right here that you can install yourself. It comes with the Allen wrench for adjusting your windage, and I do believe you just need a small punch or something like that to change out the sights here in the front. So that's pretty good. Comes with a cleaning brush and of course the manual, which is good because the manual is in English. This is a pretty well put together handgun. Now, to bring it up close to you, and we'll set the box aside over here, it's very well put together. This handgun is very precision made, especially for the cost. You know, for quality in handguns, I would put this handgun up against a lot of very premium brands, without any question. One of the things about the Grand Power handgun is that it has the rotating barrel, right? You can see how it cants off like that. The barrel moves side to side, but if you look at the barrel also from this side, you'll see that it maintains its forward-facing position. It doesn't go up and down like the Browning design. It just stays flat. It shoots flat, and this gun does shoot accurately. I love the way this handgun shoots. It is a very flat shooting handgun, and it's very comfortable. Now, if I had to complain about anything about this handgun so far, and I've only shot about 150 rounds out of this, Blazer Brass and Fiocchi, for those who want to know. The back straps are not exactly aggressive, so it does get a little bit slippery. It was cold in the room where I was shooting. Now, the range that I'm shooting at, they don't have their heat on back there where you're shooting, and it's 4 degrees outside. Well, to give you some idea how cold it is where I am right now here in Michigan, this is how cold it is. This is me and my partner yesterday.
Here we go.
Yeah, that cold. That was boiling water he threw. And they didn't have the heat on in the range part where I was shooting, so you could actually see your breath. So with as cold as it was, this gun wasn't exactly staying in my grip that well. It was kind of slippery because my hands were cold, this was cold. There was no normal moisture to give you any sort of stickiness, and it just made me keep wanting to get some Talon grips or something like that on this, which I've got some Talon grip tape on order, and I will be utilizing that for this handgun for sure. So with that being said, that's the only gripe that I really have about this pistol. Well, actually, it's not the only gripe that I have about this pistol. The other gripe that I have about this pistol is the takedown procedure is a little bit tricky. You gotta learn how to do it. Let's see if I can actually pull this off here. I'll go ahead and try it just for shits and gigs. So you've gotta pull this thing back and slide it off, right? Now that's not hard. You've got tabs right here that you can pull back on just like the Glocks. In the Mark 7 series, they had the removable trigger that you would pull back in order to get the slide off, right? By not having a removable trigger, which compromised the rigidity of the frame, they just went with these tabs and it kept the rigidity of the frame intact. So if you see the P1 and it's got the tabs right here, that's a Mark 12. If you see it with the removable trigger, that's a Mark 7. This pistol, as you can see, has a very long metal inset right here. That's where the slide slides on. It's very long, and it helps the gun shoot more flat, as well as the guide rod being built in right here with this spring. Now, the bitch about this is this very nice barrel, by the way. As you can see, it's very shiny, very nice, very thick, well-built barrel. When you put this gun back together, you have to make sure that this is inside here, right? And you put the gun in this way, and you've got to sort of drag it back on from the back. Now, I did that pretty well, but there were a few times where I was actually trying to find the cutout place where the slide was going to mate with that and actually get it back into the spring. Then I discovered that once you get it into those little cutout areas, if you just push it down like that just a little bit to get it back into position, it goes back in. So thankfully that went well. So as you can see, again, here's the rotating barrel. So let's go ahead and test the trigger. And oh folks, this trigger. All right, double action is very smooth, as you can see. Very smooth, it just rolls. It doesn't stagger, it doesn't rub, it just rolls. This is a very nice, I'd have to say about a 12-pound double action trigger. Very nice. I mean, it feels like 12 pounds to me. And the reset here is very close. It is stupid close. Let's look at this. Right there. You barely saw my finger move. Just a 1/16 of an inch of take up, and then back into the single action trigger, which is right about 3.5, 4 pounds. Barely touched it. Let's do it again. Wow. I would put this against some of the best resets on the market. This is an outstanding trigger. Now, another thing about this gun, and I'll bring it up here, is that you can carry this just like this, with that first click off, with the hammer not touching the firing pin right here, right? You can carry it like that. Most people would advise that you carry this cocked and locked, which you can, right? You can carry that cocked and locked just like that. Or you can decock it, because this is the decocker model, and you can carry this in double action. And when you've got it decocked, and if you don't move the decocker off like this, it's in double action every single shot, right? Now, if you're the kind of person that really grips onto the thing and your thumb is gonna knock this thing up, you're gonna go right back to double action, single action, right? But the decocker, once you've decocked it, it'll stay double action only. And another good thing about the decocker is that even with a decock, you can chamber around, so, and it stays double action only. So that's pretty cool. That's a good touch. I'm not sure how most people are going to use just the double action only when they're getting a handgun like this, but they may choose to do it. Some people like double action only. Now, the magazine release is pretty positive. However, I'm finding that I have to push pretty hard from this side, but it works both sides because, again, this is an ambidextrous pistol. And it's got mirroring magazine releases, one side to the other, as well as slide release, slide catch from one side to the other, and safety decocker, one side to the other. So this is a fully ambidextrous pistol, great for the lefties. And so far, I'm pretty pleased with it. Now, accuracy. This is a very accurate handgun. Let's roll in a target here. Now, this is 15 shots at 5 yards right here, right? This is sort of taking my time. I did pretty good with this, but this is 15 shots at about 5 yards. And for me, folks, this is pretty good, okay? I know somebody's gonna tell me how much better they can shoot. I don't give a crap. Well, here's another 10 at 5 yards. This was Blazer Brass. I think the first one was Fiocchi. That went pretty good, you know. So again, folks, for me, this is pretty good. You know, 5 yards, this is a little bit better than center mass. I gotta say, this is about 2 inches across. So not too bad for me, not too bad. My eyes are pretty crappy. And as you can see from the range footage, which will be coming up here pretty soon, this is pretty much a natural pointer. It's like pointing your finger, which is basically what you want out of your defense handgun. All right, so how big is it? Well, let's compare it to a standard. And the reason I call it a standard is because most people are familiar with the Glock 19, right? So in comparing the Glock 19 to the P1, if we're gonna line their slides up right about right here, we're gonna see that the P1 and the Glock 19 are right about the same size. Of course, the P1 is a little bit taller than the Glock 19 in the grips. They both are 15 rounders, and the Glock 19 is going to be thinner than the P1. So that's something you may want to consider if you want to carry this inside the waistband. I think you could carry this inside the waistband if you wanted to. I personally won't. I will be carrying this outside the waistband. That is why I got this, and or I will be shooting this for fun. Glock 19, I would carry that in the waistband. These days I'm carrying the P30 SK. That's how big it is. It's not that big a handgun. And speaking of carrying this, there's not too many holsters and stuff like that on the market for this handgun, which is another one of the reasons that I dragged my feet actually getting it, is because there's not that many. However, Phobos here has a VPQ holster that it fits, and they marketed it as fitting the Grand Power P1, and it also fits the H&K VP9. And I also opted to get the double magazine holder, which of course fits the Grand Power magazines. It does not fit the Glock magazines. So if you're thinking that it's gonna fit your Glock mags, I tried it, it doesn't. I was kind of bummed, but I got a double magazine holder and another magazine on order for the P1, so I've got those. And there's a few other companies out there that are selling holsters that fit it. And of course, you can always go to your multi-fit universal type holsters for your Grand Power because it's not that unusual a size. It's just for exact fit. You're gonna be looking around a little bit for holsters for it. If you don't care about that, universal holsters are great. I would opt to go with one of those. I really like the Grand Power P1 so far. I like its accuracy. And so far so good. This is just the first look at the Grand Power P1. So you're gonna be seeing more of this in the future. And of course, a premium review always follows after a year or so, and after I've shot it enough times. But so far so good. The Grand Power P1 seems to be an accurate pistol. It feels marvelous in your hand. It feels just great. And if it doesn't, well, just change out the back straps. And as you can see by this footage here, it's just a matter of taking a screwdriver and popping it in back here, sort of easing it out, slapping another one back on in disco. So that's pretty cool. And you'll be seeing a lot more of this here coming up soon, but let's get another good close look at it here. Aesthetics, folks, aesthetics. A very nice looking handgun. No, I'm not muzzle flashing myself, folks. Please, let's be real here. 3-dot sights. They're pretty deep inset. I might color the front sight. Other than that, this has been an outstanding pistol for the 2 or 3 days that I've had it so far. But we'll be seeing a lot more of it soon. So the Grand Power P1D. And thanks for watching, folks. I'm Too Improper. My email address is scrolling across the bottom of the screen as we speak right now. That's tooimproper@gmail.com. Write and I will answer you, provided you're going to be polite about whatever it is you have to say, and if I've got the time. And don't forget to check out Not Just Guns. Mason, Michigan's where those guys are. www.notjustguns.com. In Mason, Michigan, they have pretty much what you want, and if they don't already have it in the store, you can pretty much bet your arse they can get it for you. Notjustguns.com. But that's it, folks. Thanks for watching. God bless America, and keep on protecting your families and yourselves. I can't understand who would not elect to do that. And keep on protecting your flag and your country's honor. It is always the right thing to do.